Jai Hind. I am Madhup Agrawal, Assistant Professor in AKGEC, Ghaziabad. Today our topic is Introduction to Operating System. So, first we understand what is the need of operating system. So, need of operating system. So, start from basic. If we have a computer, what is computer? Computer simply hardware. If we have an hardware and want to operate that hardware, so how to operate that hardware? Either by interacting directly with the hardware or by using some software which deal with that particular hardware. So this is the main need of the operating system, to operate the hardware and facilitate the user also, that is secondary. Now one by one we will see the need of operating system. So the first need of operating system is the user of the system cannot directly interact with the system, because computer hardware only understand the machine language in the form of 0 and 1. It will be very difficult for the user to learn this language and convert those request instruction into machine language. If you want to add, just for example, if you want to add something, just a plus b. So to instruct the machine how to perform the addition a plus b, we will instruct the machine in the machine language form. If we are going to deal with the machine directly, so machine understand in the form of 0 and 1, so we will instruct the machine in the 0 and 1 form. This is very difficult. So how to easy our this problem? So by using the some software that is named as operating system. So this is the first need of operating system. Second, to use the computer hardware in an efficient way. Efficiency is also required. So the operating system controls and coordinates the use of the hardware among the various applications program for the various users. A computer system consists of hardware, software and data. Three major parts: hardware, software and data. The operating system provides the means for proper use of these resources in the operation of the computer system. So if we want to efficiently use the hardware, we need a software which perform these. That software is again operating system. Now the third need, we can say, an operating system is similar to a government. What is the purpose of the government? Just provide a environment in such a way that the activity perform in the good direction, or we can say in efficient manner. So an operating system is similar to government. Like a government, it performs no useful function by itself, no useful function, but it simply provides an environment within which other programs can do useful work. So this facilitates the other programs to run in a good manner. So these are the basic need of the operating system. And we can say operating system, this is the figure which depict the operating system. Operating system is in between of the hardware and the application and system software programs. So operating system here, operating system directly interact with the hardware. We are not going to directly interact with the hardware. We are going to interact with the some application or system software, and this system software interact with the operating system, and then operating system interact with the hardware. So we can say the operating system is the interface between this and this. This means application and system software, or we can say the user side and the hardware side. So operating system as an interface. So by using the definition, an operating system is a system software. System software means which facilitate, which are used for the system use. System software that work as an interface between the hardware and the user, or between the hardware and the application software, as we have seen in the figure. Or it can also be defined as resource manager. It is a resource manager. We can say operating system work as a manager. What manages? It manages the resources, different resources, both hardware and software resources of the system. Many hardware resources and many software resources. Hardware resources such as memory, such as CPU, such as hard disk, and so on, and software resources, some applications managed by this operating system. Now, different component of the computer system. Hardware provide basic computing resources just like CPU, memory, input output devices, and this operating system controls and coordinates the use of hardware among the various applications program for various users. Application program, what is application program? Define the way in which the system resources are used to solve the computing problem of the users, just like the compiler, database system, video games, business, and many more. And the user means they can be a pupil, they can be a machine also, and other computers. So computer system components, same figure, but in the computer system component, in the system and application program side, just like compiler, assembler, text editor, and database systems, etc. And this is operating system provide interface between hardware and this side, that is user side or application side. Okay, now we have understand what are operating system, why the need of operating system. Now, booting process in computer. Computer in the now shutdown situation, means off situation, but when we plug on or simply switch on the system, what process goes on? So that process is known as booting process. The booting is the process of loading an operating system. It is the process that start when we turn on the computer. Simply turn on the computer, then booting process starts. Using the power button or by the software command, also scripting language supports, and when the operating system is loaded into the memory, means between the power on switch and completely operating system is loaded, that is known as booting process. Now, in between, what are the steps? Means steps in booting. When a computer is powered on, all the hardware component first receive the power and then initialize. After that, the computer system goes through the following step. What are the steps? First is BIOS is loaded, basic input output system is loaded. Next, post, power on, self test is performed, then loading of MBR into RAM. Now, these three process, and again now we will see. Then fourth is running the bootloader and load the operating system into RAM, then running the OS to complete the system configuration and load system utilities, then user authentication is performed. We will see it one by one. Now, basic input output system is loaded. Now, just consider our system is in off situation. So, how to initiate the booting process? How to initiate the booting process? A simple program is in the motherboard itself, that is known as BIOS, basic input output system. This is firstly loaded, means how to initialize the booting process, main task of this. Now, then second is post. Post, power on, self test is performed, means all the devices connected with the system is checked, it is working properly or not, that is known as the post, power on, self test. Then now loading process or loading of operating system initiated, loading MBR into the RAM. First, master boot record, MBR, master boot record. So, what is operating system? Operating system is simply the software. Software is in the form of file loaded into hardware permanently. Now these files, operating system files, we need to bring into the RAM to perform. So, where the operating system files are in the hard disk or bootable disk, this information is in the MBR. MBR is a fixed uh, location, master boot record into the RAM. Master boot record is loaded. This master boot record contains where our original operating system files are in the hard disk or bootable disk. Now, running the bootloader and load the operating system into the RAM. Then all the operating system files, the main file kernel files are loaded into the RAM with the help of this bootloader. And then just operating system loaded partially and running the operating system to complete system configuration and load system utility. Other utilities is also loaded with the help of operating system loaded. Other also just like these utilities may be notepad or other facilitating software which are part of operating system. Then user authentication is performed. User authentication is needed, just like we can say the username, password and so on. This authentication is needed. Now our system is ready to use. For the application software, we use the system according to our need. Now these 6 steps are performed in the booting process. Now the views of operating system. What is the meaning of view? We have seen the operating system as an interface between user side and hardware side. So, if we stand at the place of user, then we see the operating system, and if we see at the place at the side of hardware, then we see the operating system. So, user view means user side, we are standing at the user side and seeing the hardware, seeing the operating system, and system view means we stand at the place of hardware and we see the operating system, that is system view. So, in the user view, the user viewpoint focus on how the user interacts with the operating system through the use of the various application programs. In contrast, the system viewpoint means we have stand at the side of hardware. In the system viewpoint, focuses on how the hardware interact with the operating system to complete various tasks. So, now at the user view, the user's view of the computer varies according to the interface being used. Which interface is used? Just like if we are using single user viewpoint, most users sit in the front of PC, consisting of the monitor, keyboard, mouse and system units. Such a system is designed for one user to monopolize its resources, means simple single user viewpoint. The goal is to maximize the work that the user is performing. In this case, the operating system is designed to mostly for the easy of use, means easy for use, with some attention paid to the performance and none paid to the resource utilization, because there are only one person there. How various hardware and software resources are shared. These are the single view. Now the multiple user viewpoint. In other cases, a user sit at the terminal connected to the mainframe or mini computer. What is the terminal? Terminal is mainly combination of input and output devices, that is terminal, not processing units. Other users are accessing the same computer through the other terminal. These users share resources and may exchange information, means there are many users sitting centrally, they share the common processing units. The operating system in such cases is designed to maximize resource utilization. Now our focus comes to the maximum resource utilization, because there are many persons sitting using the same hardware. The client server architecture is another good example, where many clients may interact through the remote server and the same constant of effective use of the server resources may arise. Now there are other, just like handled user viewpoint, embedded system user viewpoint, there are many user viewpoint, just see aside. And moreover, the touch screen era has now in these days, just like mobile phones and some other thing, giving you the best handle technology. Smartphones interact via wireless devices to perform numerous operations, and but they are not as efficient as computer interface, limiting to their simple use. Now, embedded system user viewpoint. Some computer have little or no user view, but for example, embedded computer in the home devices and automobiles may have numeric keypads and may turn indicator lights on and off and so on. Means embedded system are there, but their operating system are designed primarily to run without user intervention. Means no need of interacting with the that particular operating system. This simply just design hardware, just like uh, in nowadays in the driver cars, automated system is there. Now, system view. From the user viewpoint, we have discussed the numerous applications that require various degree of user participation, but here no participation of user. However, we are more concerned with how the hardware interact, This is the main point with the operating system, and then with the user from the system viewpoint. The hardware and the operating system interact for a variety of reasons. Why? Because without interaction with the hardware, our task will not perform. Ultimate task will be done by the hardware. Resource allocation. First is resource allocation. A computer system has many resources that may be required to solve a problem, just like this CPU time. CPU required for the proper execution. Memory space is required to keep the different processes, different programs, and this file storage space where to store the file, just like in the hard disk, pen drive, etc. Input output devices, how to control input output devices, just like keyboard, monitor, etc. and so on. The operating system act as the manager of these resources. Manages all these things. So, as a manager from the system viewpoint. Now, facing numerous and possibly conflicting requests for the resources, the operating system must decide how to allocate them to a specific program and user so that it can operate the computer system effectively. Means if many requests come from the different users or different applications, then handle the shared resource, how to manage that. Now, control programs. A control program manages the execution of the user program to prevent errors and improper use of the computer. This is the task of operating system. It is especially concerned with the operation and control of input output devices. Now, there are different functions of an operating system. We have already seen, but in this slide we can show more and more. Storage management. What operating system does? Storage management. Just like we manage the different files, means file system management, how to keep the file, how to manage the file in the form of directories, and mass storage management, device management, different devices are connected, process management means different processes for execution, how to manage the CPU for execution of different number of processes, memory management. When we come into picture, more processes are there, then we must require the memory management, protection and security from the external and internal view. There are many attacks from the outside and many are from the inner itself. No confliction will be there, so protection is needed. So, one by one we will see. Now, storage management. To make the computer system convenient for user, the operating system provide the uniform logical view of the information storage. Logical view, we just where to store the file in the logical view, C drive, D drive, E drive and so on. This type of division of the physical device is known as the logical view. Logical division. The operating system abstract from the physical properties of its storage devices to define the logical storage unit, that is the file, in the form of file. Now file management, a file is a collection of related information we know defined by its creator. Commonly file represent a program. This program may be a source program or object file and data. The operating system is responsible for following activities in concern with the file management. If we are going to use a file, then we can create a file, we can delete the file, okay, creating and deleting directories, different directories to manage these files, supporting primitive, some primitive operation for manipulating files just like copy, paste, etc. And mapping file into secondary storage, we have to keep these files into the secondary storage, map these files, and backing up files on storage media, non-volatile media. Yes, this is required to permanently storage. Now operating system also define user role and access management. For example, you may want to keep a file with read only permission, so unauthorized user cannot edit or delete, means giving the permissions at the different level, read only read write both, or execution, some executable files are there also. And mass storage management, as we know the main memory is too small to accommodate all the data and program. Yes, main memory is small, and this is also volatile in nature, so we cannot keep the our files or programs there for permanent use. So, and because data is hold are lost when the power is lost in the main memory, the computer system must provide secondary storage backup. Secondary storage backup is necessary, hence the proper management of the disk storage is of the central importance of the computer system. Thus, yes, this is very important. Now the operating system is responsible for following activities: just free space management, how much storage is free, so we can check storage allocation, disk scheduling, this is from the second mass storage. Now the second operation is device management. Second function of the operating system is device management. Most users rely on the peripheral devices like mic, printer, keyboard to input information into their computers. In turn, these hardware devices rely on their respective drivers. Each and every device have some software to operate that particular device, that is known as drivers. So, an operating system uses an input output controller to manage these device drivers to keep your device connected to your computer. Yes, device driver management is very much necessary. The operating system does the following tasks, that allocating and deallocating driver to different processes, keep record of all the devices attached to the computer, how much devices are attached, decides which device to be allocated to which process and how much time, for how much time it, all these tasks are the operating system. Now the third task, that is process management. The process, what is the process? The process is a program under the execution, this is the main, under the program under the execution is known as process. The operating system manages all the process so that each process gets the CPU for a specific time for the execution, specific time to execute itself, and there will be less waiting time for each process. The management is also called the process scheduling. This is also known as the process scheduling. For process scheduling, operating system user various algorithms are there for process management, just like round robin, just like FCFS, just like shortage of first, different many more other. The operating system manages process by doing following tasks. What the tasks are there? Allocating and deallocating of the resource, different process, allocating resource such that the system doesn't run out of the resource. In this manner, it must required, otherwise system not perform further, no work will be done. Offering mechanisms for process synchronization, Now the term process synchronization. If there are many processes and one process communicate with the other, then there is need of process synchronization, or common share the common resources, then process synchronization is necessary. Help in process communication, in inter-process communication is there. Now the fourth task of the operating system is the memory management. One of the most crucial function of the operating system is the memory management. Memory management, main memory management, many processes are there, so all the process must keep in the main memory. So memory management is required. This is the process of keeping track of all the different applications and process running on the computer and all the data they are using. So one process data not be conflict with other process data or disturb with the, so process memory management is required. Now what type of memory? Allocating, deallocating memory to store programs, just allocate memory and deallocate memory after the use, deciding the amount of memory, how much memory that should be allocated to the program. Now memory distribution with multi-processing. If there are multi-processing means multiple processors are there, then how to distribute the memory among the multiple processes, multiple processor CPUs. Update the status in case of memory is free, means keep track how much memory is free, where to keep the new arriving processes. Keep record of how much memory is used and how much is unused. Yes, it also makes sure that the executing program do not interface with each other. Yeah, this is very much required. Now protection and security. Security grants the system access to the appropriate user only, while protections deal with the access the system resources. Mainly in security, security is the external threats. External threats are involved, while in the protection internal threats are involved. This is the main point. Now security illustrates that which person is granted for using the system. Which person is granted for using the system is known as security, and this is achieved with the help of operating system itself. So our operating system is much able to for performing the security well, whereas protection determines that what files can be accessed or preempted by the special user, means which file can be accessed with the each user. This is an internal situation. So these are the different functions of the operating system, and what are the operating systems, why the need of operating systems. So we have seen. So Jai Hind.